All right, so welcome to Aspects Land of a Changing Man. My name is Gold. Welcome to the group. Uh, Thank you for everybody coming. Uh, Today, I would like to talk about a topic that is really being practiced out in our world, but not really in our lives, as far as who we think we have to be able to survive in society today. The topic is self control. And no matter where you go, when you are in a different type of place, depending on where you're going, what type of work you're doing, you definitely get taught about, you get taught to or trained so that you have self control in the field. The number one thing that I feel like we don't do is we don't practice self control in our regular lives. A lot of the problems that I've had, when it came to like disappointments in different fields, were due to me having a self control issue. Um, it was me responding in a way that showed I did not have control over myself. What is the definition of self control? Self control is the ability to be able to control one's actions or emotions within themselves, especially in dire situations, in the worst kind of conditions. A lot of people aren't able to handle themselves when it comes to um, being backed in a corner or being, being pushed, having their buttons pushed or, having their confidence cracked or having their manhood tested. A lot of people don't respond in the way where it shows that they still have control over their emotions or their actions. When it was so easy for me to say no, I let my emotions or my ambitions to prove myself as what I thought would make me more of a man to other people take control of my situations. And as I got the consequences I wanted, I had to take them, but I did not like them. The one thing about self control is it keeps you balanced, it keeps you grounded, and it keeps you able to sustain your tactical approach. When you think about having situations where people can make you mad or people can push you to the side because you cracked your confidence. I remember when I was playing chess with a guy, and the one thing that separated him from me is when I started to come into his field, it wasn't one that I was comfortable with. So it let him know that he was the master of the game. When he, it was we were playing chess, and usually when you go to like a contest, you usually can't talk. But he decided that he was going to talk to me. So when I decided to jump into his field of talking smack, he already knew that wasn't my field when it came to chess, and he was able to show his confidence and dominate the rest of the game. And I did lose the game, and he let me know, he didn't let me know where I lost, but I kind of knew where it was that I was actually losing, where I actually lost the game at. When it comes to different type of situations, people may be able to press your buttons. They get to know you. They want to know when you're able to crack. They want to know when they're able to separate themselves away from you. When they're able to push, they keep you in second or third place and push towards being in first place. And the one thing that comes in is when you have self control over yourself. It helps you to be able to think in the way that you want to think. When you think about every situation or every relationship or every type of way that you've that you put yourself into, you could have been able to handle it more better if you thought about if you can think in a better way of how to handle those situations. It was if you think about every other culture that teaches things like meditation, or like, yeah, teaching like meditation, or um, the chi inside of you. One of the greatest lines that I like to think of is greater. It's from the Bible. It's greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. So every person, when you go, well, the reason I'm doing this is because there is a line that people are staying at. They want this line to stay at it. I'm here because when you go to a seminar or you go to a place where they are charging you 2,000, 1,500, whatever they're charging you to come into their system to learn, they're teaching the same type of situations. When you go into a seminar about masculinity, when you go into a seminar about better life, when you go into a meditation, when you go into yoga, when you go into different when you go into a relationship, how to be a relationship, how to get women, whatever they teach you self-control. That's what they want to teach you. And I feel like they know that the people that I want to be around are the people that are able to afford these programs. Even though the people that are low income, that are and not able to afford these programs, are the ones that actually need these programs. But we separate ourselves from who can afford it and needs it to be able to push forward in their lives, to the ones that can't afford it. And the one thing that I wanted to do is to be able to come here and talk to people and actually show them show them the things that they're teaching in these programs. And the number one thing that they're teaching is self-control. They're teaching you that if you're able to control yourself, you're, uh, if you're able to control yourself, you're able to reach any type of you that will be able to get you past any situation. Some of us are good at being competitive. One person I like to think of is Michael Jordan. Uh, Michael Jordan was able to have control over himself through the whole game. And the one thing that lets you know that he had control over himself is because when people were in situations that he was in, they cracked. When it came to smack talking, if you go to a lot of stories about Michael Jordan on like YouTube or Facebook or whatever, the one thing that they would talk about is don't talk smack to Michael Jordan. He gets fired up off of that. He goes harder on you if you talk stuff to him. And it's a lot of stories telling people that it's a lot of stories about people that say that Michael Jordan was one you don't want to talk smack with. He had I believe, and this may not be true, but I believe he had so much self-control over himself that when people would crack on people for crack in situations of smack talking or pressure, he actually knew there was something inside of him that he can actually feed off of that and turn that into its success. But he was only able to get that when he had self-control. I'd like to think that a lot of people um, back in the past have had situations where if they didn't have someone to teach them these type of things, because these are things that dads would teach their sons dad would teach their sons in the house. A dad in the house is more important than a dad outside of the house, because that son gets to see the dad in all types of situations. He gets to see his dad in the best type of situation, how he responds, and he gets to see him in the worst type of situation and how he responds. And usually that would help the son out to be able to figure if he wants to use those ways to handle himself in the near future with the same type of approach towards situations. If you see a man that's grounded in these situations, you can see that he was able to uh, beat up regular situations that we don't see happen today. I see a lot of arguments and fights and breakups and uh, domestics, things that usually don't happen when someone has control over themselves. I like to think that there's a lot of people that are willing to see what buttons you have so they can sit here and test you so that they can see how confident you are, if you're the person to lead them or are you the person that they don't want around. If you're able to show someone how to have control over themselves, they're they're able to learn from you and lead. Like I was saying the other day, like I was saying the other week, that I don't know if I said this the other week uh, about the Power Ranger thing. Okay, so the one thing that separates a lot of people from other people when it comes to the field that they're in is how they handle themselves. And it's like the pilot situation. When you sit here and you're on a plane and it starts getting shaky and stuff starts to go wrong, the first person you would want to respond in a way that calms you down is a pilot. If the pilot sounds calm, that means that everything is going to be all right. I shouldn't panic. But the only way that the pilot can sit here and pull that off is if he has self control over himself. If he in the most craziest situations, he can still handle his emotion and his actions to be able to calm everybody else down so that nothing drastic happens to where a door opens and people fly out or somebody's grabbing on something they're not supposed to grab on or fights are happening. He has to be in control of himself. When you go into a sales situation, people are going to tell you no. The first reaction you might get is no. But you have to have the confidence and the self control, the patience, and the patience to be able to, maybe talk to them in a way where they're able to say yes on the situation they would usually say no at. Some people just want to be convinced. But if you don't have the confidence and the self control to convince them, yes, they're easily able to walk out. I would like to think that because one of the thing is that a lot of positive responses may be the outcome of a positive action. If you're able to respond in a way where a person feels positive about what you're bringing to them in that type of situation, they're able to give a positive feedback or a positive action, positive reaction. So you want to be able to have the control and the confidence to be able to think, especially in that skillful way that you've known yourself to be, known yourself to practice, so that you're able to accomplish everything that you've known yourself to accomplish before when it was easier. Circumstances do not make the person, they reveal them. If you are in a department of sales or you're in the department of driving and the situation is becoming hectic and you can't handle it, number one thing is that that shows that you're not able to handle the worst of situations. The one thing that people like to separate my people like Michael Jordan or LeBron James is how they handle themselves at the end of the game. I like to think of it as, if I have enough self control in any type of situation, it would be good. And they're like, well, Jordan at the end of the game in the last 3 minutes, man. But what if Michael Jordan is down by 20? Would that even matter? Would his clutch gene matter if he was down by 20? Or if he was even up by 20? If every game that he was in was up by 20 or down by 20, we would never see that he has his self control to be able to handle himself in pressure type of situations. Even LeBron James can handle himself in pressure type situations. He usually tries to make the best play for the game when it comes to passing it to somebody else. But those are tactics that they feel like they want to use to be able to handle themselves in those type of situations. I was watching a Boston game the other day, and an old Boston game from last year. They were playing the Houston Rockets, and they were down by 26. And as they were missing shots, as they were missing shots, as they were turning the ball over, they decided to buckle down and come back to the type of team that they've known themselves to be and put more pressure on the other team so that they're able to see if they're going to crack under pressure. And that team came back and won because they were able to keep that same tactic. They kept that same type of control. Hey, you know what? Our shots aren't falling. We can go in for layups. Until we see our shots falling, we're going to sit here and grind on defense. We're going to do things that we usually do, that we've been taught to do in these type of situations. We don't break from ourselves and who we are as a person because our situation looks bad. We keep the same composure. We think so that we're able to last out this situation. And that's what they were able to do. They didn't break under pressure. They didn't go to the bench and say, well, I'm doing bad. Let's just wrap it up and go, because that's a crack of your confidence. You know, if every game they were down by 10 and as soon as that happened, somebody went to the bench and was like, this game is over, I guarantee that person wouldn't be the one that you would want on your team. Especially if that's the best player on your team that's telling you that, you're going to be like, I don't want to play with this guy. I don't believe him. I don't believe in him. He doesn't have control in himself over situations where we're down and we can come back. I don't believe that we can come back because he doesn't have control over his emotions. When you get into a job or anything, you know that everything every type of situation, I believe, is strategic. It's always a strategy for you to be able to succeed in every type of situation. And for us to look at every situation as strategy, I feel like if we were able as men to think logically instead of emotionally and be led by our emotions to do the things that we were doing, or our ego or our pride, it would make it so that we're better able to think. Me myself, I found myself in a lot of situations where my pride would be tested, my ego would be tested, and my emotions would be tested to where they would come out, and I would have to go down the road less traveled that I see in my neighborhoods or the type of people that I've been around, and respond in a smarter way to be able to fix situations that I feel are only able to fix when we're able to think about the best results instead of responding the only way we think is the best result due to our emotions or protecting our ego. Um, once you master, self control, you actually learn a lot about yourself. Like I was saying earlier, you're able to learn a lot more about yourself to be able to feed your feed your logical thinking. You know, you can find the best part of you that you're able to feed your fears to. You're able to feed your emotions to be able to fuel you towards the right way. But the only way that you're able to master this type of skill is if you practice on having self control. If you practice on situations where you know that that other people aren't able to handle it. One thing I like to think about is the positions of power or persuasion require you not to be able to lose control in the way that other people always do. If you think about a president or a senator or a salesman or a king, they can't respond in the same type of way that somebody else does. That I would like to say that us regular people do. A person in power can't respond in those ways where somebody calls them a name, they have to respond to every person that calls them a name. If somebody ticks them off from disrespecting them, they can't respond to every situation about that. I mean, if you think about it, presidents have been threatened. Our nation has been threatened by countries that have wanted to see him prove themselves to be scarier than the United States, and the president still didn't respond in a way that probably would have got us into wars, a lot worse wars than we've been in, because they didn't go with their emotions. Yeah, I could think what a president thinks when he sits here and says, "Hey, we're gonna nuke y'all." Oh, us? Do you know who we are? Do you know what we could actually do? We don't. We didn't respond in that way. So people of power don't respond in the same ways that we feel like we can on the streets. I feel like a lot of people try to put things on in them that are in the world to be able to do the things that that people can do and respond in a way that other people can't. If, and what I mean by that is that people put something like money, like how much money they have in their account or how much money they have on them, as a way to be able to lose control and be it be okay. If you sorry, you need to go. Respond in a way that it be able to be okay. A lot of people will tell you, oh, people say money ain't everything. Well, it's not. And they'll tell you, well, the only people that say that are people that are broke. But if you think about it for a second, if that is the truth, then why are there suicidal people with a lot of money? Why are there suicidal people with fame? Why are there people that commit crimes, commit hasty crimes with money? They wouldn't have to do these things. They wouldn't have to act the way that they act because they have that type of money. So it must be something that would tell you that they are thinking the same thing, that money isn't everything, that it's something else. But they'll try to put it over them to be able to wear it. So when somebody is responding to them about the way that they act or who they are, they can always put money as their answer instead of having the self-control be the answer or having their image actually be the answer. So, I mean, that's for me, I would like to think that practicing something so important that it's able to help us succeed in life and then put it towards everything that every okay, let me rephrase this. So when people come out and they are talking this talk about I want to be if you want to be a better person, they try to target a person and make it so that they're able to get that person to come towards them. And you're like, hey, if you want more money, I'll teach you how to get more money. And then they talk about self-control. If you want more women, I'll teach you how to have more women. And then they talk about self-control. If you want more respect in your workplace, if you want people to feel you wherever you go, if you want people to think that you're somebody, then they go into the talk of self-control. All these things are connected to the same type of thing. If you're able to have control over yourself, you're able to think better, you're able to react better and get better results. That's the one thing that they're telling. And that's what I'm here telling you today. So, I do want to thank everybody for coming to the show and everybody for coming to the class. And thank you for you guys being here and listening to me. If you need some more, if you want to talk about more, or you think that you have any type of comments or whatever, let me know. Definitely hit me up. And I'll see you in 2 weeks.